The initial trend I just want to reference that we're all in the midst of right now is the social media revolution. So the social media revolution, we're in the midst of it now. And one of the signs of the times that you can now get a paid job taking care of people's imaginary animals on Farmville. Honest to God. Who knows where this is going to head? This is going to affect, already is affecting how we hire, how we communicate, how we manage, how we market. It's pervasive throughout business. I didn't say a shortage of workers. We've got plenty of workers. We've got 8.3% unemployment. If you count the people that have stopped looking for a job, it's actually 16% that are out of work that would like to have a job. So we've got a lot of workers. They don't necessarily have the skills we need for the jobs that you're hiring. So it's not a labor shortage, it's a skilled labor shortage. This is going to be the most defining trend shaping the next 20, 30 years of human resources. Being able to get the people that you need to be competitive and to hold on to them. Now this is what it looks like graphed out. We're right at that crossroads. That as we go forward, there's already a gap. There's going to be a growing gap each year going forward, next 20, 30 years, and it's going to take more and more of your time. I'm talking about labor. I'm talking about skilled labor at any level of the spectrum, from your most technical scientist on down to even day laborers. So, people that can do the job you hired them to do. I've personally learned that when I have home repair people come, I line up 3 or 4 of them at the same time with the hopes that one show up. Someone will come a couple hours late, and inevitably, I'll get a call at 9 at night. I don't think I'm going to make it today. So, but this is in any type of jobs. We'll see this. You look at assembly jobs. Assembly is a skilled labor position. I certainly couldn't do it 10 hours a day, which is what this woman does, day in and day out. That's her full-time job, and I'd go nuts. You probably would as well. So having people that could have that focus and attention and not have to redo all their work is a skilled labor job. We're finding that as you go up the spectrum to more traditional skilled jobs, just for example, in manufacturing, currently this year we're short 3 million skilled workers in the manufacturing sector alone. 3 million. A huge problem for our country because manufacturing is at the core, the foundation of much of our growth in technology.
You don't have machining and machinists, then you don't have parts. You don't have parts, you don't have machining. You don't have machining, you don't have production. So machinists are pretty important to the whole manufacturing.
So look at traditional manufacturing, the big 3, which is making a comeback, the car industry, hallelujah. Now my dad is a trained Ford mechanic, apprenticed with Ford early in his career, and my idea I always had of manufacturing is a whole line of people doing assembly and hanging fenders, and you got the job there if your uncle worked there kind of thing. That's all gone. It's all gone. It's all been highly automated, and for the last 20, 30 years, manufacturing has worked to get labor out of the equation. Because it's hard to control labor. You can control automation, though. It's been a big task, and so there's fewer and fewer people working in manufacturing, but the ones that are there are all highly technical skilled, and as a result, harder to get. Let me take you into a Kia manufacturing plant located in Eastern Europe. You don't see a lot of people walking around there, do you? They're there, there's fewer of them, and they're all highly technical. If those are the people you need where you work, it's going to be harder to get them because there's fewer of them and more people are going to want them. So the plan to get those people, whatever that might look like in your organization, has got to be in place to both keep and retain high-performing employees. So I think for our organizations going forward, we need to have a better collaboration between business, government, and education to help better prepare students for the jobs of the future. Now, I went to a public high school. I never had a discussion with my counselor ever about future jobs, career paths. Never had that in college either. Never had that in graduate school. Right, and this is how it is for most students. They don't get any coaching or counseling, and as a result, if they go to college, 60% currently are liberal arts, and when they leave, they can't find a job. Right now, we have, for the last group that graduated, we had if they're 25 years old in our country and have a college degree, 54% of them do not have a job or are underemployed. As a waiter or waitress, as a retail worker, as a receptionist, jobs that do not require a college education, but increasingly the whole generation is taking those jobs because they can't find something in their line of work. This is a 30% increase in the last decade. We are killing this generation that they are starting their careers with student loan debt, which now approaches $1 trillion. They have a mortgage payment, but no house, and maybe no job. Living with their parents, this concerns all of us. And we need to find a way to better integrate these education and business, and I think it has to happen in the community level. And I met, last session, I met a gentleman, Greg Cheatham. I don't know if he's here, from Subaru. I was delighted to hear him talk about the fact that they have a co-op program, and they work closely with schools in the area to get kids involved in internships and co-op education where they can go to school and then go work and then go back to school, and like type of things. And he talked about their plans to try to take that to the high school level. You each need to do that. This is not something that's going to happen at the national level. The national level, we're at loggerheads between business and government. Education is not even part of the discussion. This has to happen at the community level. So if you have needs in your organization, don't just go to the job market, don't just go to the paper, don't just go online. Go to the schools and have a discussion, have an open house. Start talking to younger kids about the futures and the jobs you have to get them interested in that and interested in preparing for that. Because without it, not only are they going to be lost, but we're going to be hurting as the economy. Let me move on to the second point. I could probably do a whole session on any one of these points but this ties in closely. The rise of the millennials. This generation is coming up that is unlike any previous generation. We're going to talk about why that is, and I've asked my good friend Maurice Safer to introduce this topic.
Stand back, all bosses. A new breed of American worker is about to attack everything you hold sacred, from giving orders to your stark white shirt and tie. They're called, among other things, millennials. There are about 80 million of them born between 1980 and 1995, and they're rapidly taking over from the baby boomers who are now pushing 60.
I work with managers that if we make this goal, they'll shave their head, type thing, or do the dunk tank at the summer picnic. When a senior manager is willing to do that, it says we're all in it together.
So the millennials, that segment was called The Millennials Are Coming. The millennials are now here. Okay, there's 4 generations in the workplace. The traditionalists make up 5% of the workers. Baby boomers, 38%. Gen X, 32%. Currently, the millennials make up 25%. But in a short time, they're going to make up the majority of the workers in your workforce. And with that, they're going to have the majority say about what it means to work and what needs to be where you work. They're going to change what work means for all of us, I'm convinced. So as the baby boomers retire, even if they put that off a few years because their 401k tanked, they will be retiring. As 70 million people leave the job market in America, the generation behind doesn't physically have enough bodies to fill their shoes. Only 50 million Gen Xers. We're increasingly going to need to rely on this younger generation. So that's the motivation to see it through, to make it work with them, to integrate them in the workforce. Because it's very easy to throw your hands up and say, I'm ready to strangle them. You know, instead, I want to encourage you to say, no, find a way to make it work, because we're going to have to rely on them, especially the ones that have the skills you need, right? 44 million are currently in the workplace, 46 million on their way. This is what it looks like now. 2016, half the workers, millennials. I was recently working with the American Gas Association. They told me that in the next 5 years, not 10, not 15, next 5 years, 70% of their employees would be retiring. And they had not a clue how to get this younger generation in the workforce. They didn't like what they saw. I work a lot with the federal government. They said, we're recruiting people out of schools. They come in, they say, guys, like working with all my grandparents, you know, the whole place, you know, long tenure in the government. And I've actually been part of brainstorming sessions where how make this work? I remember an idea, someone says, why don't we hire them 2 at a time so they got someone they could talk to? You know, instead we got to integrate with them. We've got to find out what they're about, learn from them, and show them the ropes. Don't expect that they already know. Don't expect that they already know. I was speaking in Missouri recently. This woman came up. She said, my son got a job out of school. I was so excited. It was a great company, A.G. Edwards, 100 best place company to work in America. After 3 weeks, he called home and said, Mom, I'm going to quit. What are you talking about? You can't quit. It's boring. It's a boring job. He said, Mom, you know, they expect you to be at work every day at 8:30. He had no conception of that. Could not imagine that anyone would do that. Okay. This is the type of thing we're going to see. This is the type of thing you got to deal with if you're not already. And it's not just getting them in your organization, it's holding on to them as well. The average millennial stays in the job now, stays in the company now, 1.8 years. 1.8 years. If you want to have them stay longer than that, you better be showing what's in it for them beyond that amount of time and talking about that from the first day of work. 76% of younger employees today in the workforce plan to leave as the economy improves, according to the Harvard Business Review. So what do we know about this group of kids? What's the profile? And if you want to find out, I recommend you start at home with your own kids, right? And this is my tribe in San Diego. My lovely wife, Jennifer, computer scientist, our 2 above-average children. Danny's 21, Michelle's 16. There's a couple things about this picture. First, you can tell we all shop at the same store. The other thing may not be so readily apparent is that Danny just graduated from Northwestern, north of Chicago. He took, while I was there, 3 years of Arabic. Michelle's entering her senior year in high school. She's entering her 4th year of studying Mandarin Chinese. We're thinking about starting an import-export business. Michelle, last year she spent time in China. Last summer she was at Oxford, and last January she went with me to South Africa. Did I mention she's 16 years old? I don't know about you, but when I was 16, I was thinking about Boy Scout camp, about 20 miles away. They see the world as their oyster. They are connected through the internet. If we have world peace in our lifetime, it's going to be through this generation seeing the similarities among people instead of the differences. They have a lot to offer. We've got to tap into it.
Now you're getting the bosses, boomers, they don't understand that at all.
Joe Muse holds monthly meetings with the young employees at his Hollywood advertising firm, trying to better understand the generational tug of war between them and their older bosses.
Why do you think that you can work places for a couple of months and then get a vacation? And unpaid. You don't care if you get paid. What's up with that? I don't understand.
From day one, they've got to find meaning and purpose. You've got to show them how they connect to the vision of the organization, how they can act and use the core values of the organization on a daily basis. You've got to have them connect them to a larger perspective because they feel special, they want to be the star of their own stage. It's not that hard to make them that star, to put them in charge of their own job so that they are using their best on a daily basis. Giving them feedback once a year in a performance review is not going to be enough. 40% of employees that are supposed to get a yearly annual performance review don't get those today. If the first time they're going to be recognized is 5 years at the 5-year pin, they're going to be long gone. We got to retool how we do some things. And so we've got to have some restrictions, but more we've got to embrace it and embrace the people that are using it. I'm not sure the last time you were in the front of a classroom, this is what it looks like now. Everyone's got their MacBooks open, and they're all connected. Many of them are talking about the professor and the things. I'm sure some of them are playing video poker as well, but they're all connected. This is my daughter, age 2. Mouse was her favorite. It wasn't Mickey, however. It was right there in her hand. And at an early age, she learned eye-hand coordination. By age 4, she could type. And it's been a part of her daily life ever since. If she has a question, not just in the class, but in a conversation, she instantly turns to Dr. Google and instantly gets an answer. This is how they expect their whole life to be. And yes, we donated that computer to the Smithsonian. The increase in contingent workers is the next trend. We've had a complete turnaround since before and after the Great Recession. It used to be the bulk of people were hired in traditional 40-hour-a-week jobs. That's now on the decline. Today, 65% of new jobs added in the last year have been contingent workers, part-time, project-based, temporary working, making up currently 20% of the workforce population. Soon to be 30 to 50%. This is, again, a whole new dimension. And why is this happening? Well, it's like we're not sure about this recovery, right? So let's have a temporary job and see how it works out. And hey, by the way, we're going to save some money. We don't have to pay them benefits. And if they don't work out, we can just say, hey, the project's done. We don't have to do a whole discipline and turnaround performance plan. So it's a safe way to hire people. There's going to be more and more of this going forward. There'll be a day soon where this is what you're going to see.
I need 2 certified public accountants.
So on the far left, we're seeing this growth in professional services, consulting, real estate. On the far right are those jobs that require large infrastructure, manufacturing, mining, that type of thing. Those are on the decline. But if someone gets laid off or loses their job and they've got 20 years of a specific skill, they can go out and start doing that, not just in the community, but around the country or around the globe. So it's a real boon, and that's what people have been doing. We need to help workers move from this idea of lifetime employment, it's pretty much gone for everyone, to more lifetime employability. Our commitment is to help you learn skills that you can use wherever you go after here. To start your own business or to go to another company. Hopefully you'll stay with us, and hopefully the reward for staying here will be opportunity if you do a good job. But if you don't, we're still going to develop you. And that's why it's going to help us to attract talent. Another big part of this is virtual employees, the evolving role of virtual employees. Who here currently allows people to telecommute? Anyone? Okay, not that many, really. Next time I'm back, I want to see every hand go up, because this is the future of work. 69% of employees said they wish they had more time to spend with their families. They wish they had more flexibility of their working hours. Work is increasingly becoming a state of mind more than a place to be. 75% of all current organizations have employees who work remotely. Maybe not all the time, but a couple days a week or on a special project, that type of thing. Companies are looking, 45% of organizations anticipate increasing that number. So where are you on that spectrum? Whatever it is, you've got to be looking to move the needle, to have options. Because you're going to have, like, the millennials is going to start and say, let me ask you something. I was working at home on my laptop. I packed it up and got in traffic for 45 minutes to come to my cubicle, open up my same laptop, and continue to work on that project. What's wrong with that picture? Why can't I do this at home? Is it because you don't trust me? Let's talk about your trust issues. What would you need to feel good about having me work at home? You want me to call in every hour? You want to do surprise calls? You want me to log my time? What will it take? Because this is a generation that's not going to put up with it. and they're going to leave. Just one of the many reasons. And so whatever you're doing, you gotta think about, you know, having a pilot program and allow people to, for example, telecommute, not as a right, but as a privilege, based on being a top performer, based on maybe you've worked here a year, maybe 6 months, whatever. And by the way, we're willing to test this. If anyone abuses it, it's gone for everybody. Okay, we're clear on that? And the people that do it will preserve it and because they want it to work. This is a huge benefit if you allow it to happen. I work in San Diego. There's a lot of government contractors. They have typically have an option to work a schedule called 9/80. They work 9 hours a day, take every other Friday off. What's nice getting a 3-day weekend like we got coming up. To get 2 of those a month is very nice. The last time TRW surveyed their employees, that scheduling benefit ranked higher in importance to employees than their health care benefits. People were not going to leave because they loved that benefit. Increasingly, this is the type of thing that we're going to see companies catering to.
Employee at a low cost per month. Whether you're a programmer, designer, flash action scripter, data entry guy or gal, accountant, smartphone application developer, or need employees for any other profession, we can help you.
Actual companies, there'll be a lot more companies doing this type of thing. Connecting people, wherever they are, with real work that needs to be done. And who cares how people dress? Who cares where they're doing it? Do they get the job done? We'll make sure they get the job done. You'll be happy. They'll be happy. More and more, this is where it's going. Now, I gotta be honest. There's certain challenges to having people work at home, be virtual. We got to watch out for those as well.
Hi there.
And that brings us to the last trend here, globalization of the labor market. Multinationals in our country employ 1 out of every 7 U.S. workers. In the last decade, they have shed 2.9 million jobs in the U.S., have hired 2.4 million employees overseas. Huge trend. This is what that looks like graphed out. Now, I know a lot of times when we think of jobs going overseas, we initially think of call center type jobs.
USA Sign Credit. My name is Peggy. You have questions?
I have 100,000 reward points.
Oh, mega. Kitchen, big trucker, look good for ladies. Yes? You want yes?
And a lot of those jobs are coming back now or moving on to the Philippines where they have a better rapport with Americans because we've been there since 1940. But it's not just those type of jobs. It's computer programming to India. It's taxes being done in Costa Rica. It's X-rays being read in South America. Increasingly, the work is finding the workers wherever they may be. Look at 3 companies here that kind of capture this. Oracle, a high-tech company, they're growing domestically, but they're growing 3 times as fast internationally. GE, a more stable, mature company, they're actually shrinking domestically. In fact, they expect their managers to do more with less. So we're not expecting to do what you did last year with a smaller budget. They have some growth internationally. Caterpillar, a large equipment manufacturer, they are growing some domestically, 3 times as fast internationally, and building the infrastructure of China, India, Africa. This is where the growth market is. So a lot of times we give companies a hard time about shedding American jobs and they're unpatriotic. It's not, I think that's not the only variable, having jobs that pay less. That certainly is one of the variables. If you have you're paying a programmer $70 loaded with salary and benefits, and the same work can be done in India for 14, it's hard to ignore that difference. But it's also because often for these companies, they're moving closer to their customer. If you're making cars and you're selling them in India, it makes more sense to build a plant there and not spend $3,000 to transport every vehicle from the U.S. there. So there's a lot of synergies that make sense, and businesses being an economic entity, they're constantly looking at those.
In America,
Goodbye.
In America. Now, good evening, New York.
How was the commute?
Bellissimo.
Meeting face to face without traveling place to place.
That's a start. I have to be in China in 20 minutes.
That's the human network effect. Cisco.
This is a reality. It's here now. It's going to be growing. 88% of those firms that use overseas workers, U.S. firms, say they got better value for their money overseas. This is actually the scariest slide I got here. Some 71% say that overseas workers did better quality work than American workers. This should be a huge concern to all of us here. We're going to lose our standard of living. We're going to lose our dominance in the world economy if we don't have workers that care about doing a good job and care about the work that we've got. Because we've got a lot of people around the world that would love to come here to do that would love to do that work for us wherever they are. This is something that we all need to focus on. And to me, it's not a big picture thing. It's a small picture thing. What can we do to instill an excitement about our mission and purpose in our work group, in our organization? I think that's very possible to do. We need to help workers be more competitive, to show them how to add value and increase their contribution in the job they're doing right now, to make that connection on an ongoing basis. I was in Home Depot last weekend, and I overheard a supervisor and obviously a new employee talking, and the supervisor was saying, "You see that stuff up there?" Looking up in the rafters, and "You know what that is?" The employee goes, "It looks like screen doors, and I can't make it all out." "No, that's not what that is. That's our paycheck. We got to get it down the floor so we can get paid. Got it?" Got it. We got to show the connection here. You're not just showing up and going through hours and getting a paycheck magically. We each have to be part of adding value and delighting the customer and streamlining processes and suggesting ideas that can save us money. Okay, that's everyone's job. It's not going to be everyone's job unless we bring it up to them and show them the connection and acknowledge them when they do it. The way I see it, the war for talent is over. Talent won. And I think that's what we're going to find, that talent won. And if we, coming out of the recession, maybe we haven't had to focus on that. But as we go forward, when the great majority of employees are going to be looking for a new job as the economy improves, you better start talking now about what it means to stay. Start making it now what it means to continue working with them. Start rekindling that excitement and focus in your workplace, in your department, in your organization. And I think this falls mainly to human resources to do it. So I want to close with a case study of one of my clients, Zappos. Anyone here shop at Zappos? Yeah, always. And how's your experience in doing that? Anyone? Good? Zappos, what did you like about that? Fast, fun. Sure, they have a good time. Yeah. This is a place for those that haven't shopped there that whatever you order, they pay to have it shipped to you. And if you decide you don't want it, they pay to have it shipped back. Okay? How can they make money doing that? They have 30 to 40% of all their packages that are shipped out come back to them at their own cost. They have, even with that type of economics, they are convinced that if they create a place where people are excited to be there, where they want to be there, they will make a difference in service that will keep people coming back. They have voted on their culture. So I want to close here by going into Zappos, their call center in Las Vegas. Now, call centers are a tough place to work. It's a burnout job. It's low paid. With technology today, you hang up the phone and it rings every time. Not 10, 15 minutes later. Every time you hang it up, it rings again. So it's a real burnout job. I know someone that works at a call center. They have to come home and go into a dark room and turn off the lights and unplug the phone and take an hour to get back to normal. Let's see what it's like to work inside Zappos, call center in Las Vegas. Zappos. These guys are selling women's shoes. They're talking about higher purpose. What are you talking about where you work? Thank you so much for your kind attention.